Have you ever had the feeling that life is always one step away from going right? But does this step never happen? As if there is an invisible barrier between you and everything you know, deep down, that you were born to live? Ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunities, money, connections, almost as if they were magnets, while others, maybe you, feel as if they are running inside an invisible maze, always coming back to the same place? What if I told you that there is a mental code, silent and often ignored, that determines the exact frequency of what you receive or not from life, and that this code can be changed in just 48 hours, as long as you know how? What you're about to hear here is no longer an empty promise of self-help or a superficial summary from some internet pop guru. What you're going to see in this video is a key, one that, when you turn, starts opening doors that once seemed locked with indestructible padlocks. But beware, the most important thing is not at the beginning, nor in the middle. It's at the end. Because that's where I'm going to reveal the part of the code that makes everything else work. Without this, nothing can be sustained. With that, everything changes. Imagine for a moment that abundance, be it financial, emotional, or spiritual, is not something you earn but something you release, as if it were dammed up inside you, waiting for a signal. Not a sign from the universe, but a sign from you. An internal permission, a change of configuration. Joe Dispenza calls this identity conditioning breaking, but most people understand it theoretically, not practically. What we're going to do here is different. Let's go through the idea and enter the field of experience, because it is only in this field that the true manifestation happens. It is not enough to repeat affirmations in the mirror, write sentences in a notebook, or think of a new car. If your emotional frequency doesn't change, the universe doesn't respond. Because he doesn't hear words, he hears vibration. And that's precisely why so many people get frustrated with the law of attraction. Because they try to use words to talk to a system that responds to emotions. It's like trying to change radio stations by turning the door handle. The effort is there, but the result does not appear. Now, what if you could, in 48 hours, change this emotional field? What if there was a specific point, almost like an internal button that unlocks this flow? What if that button is closer than you might think, but camouflaged under layers of fear, doubt, and social conditioning? Stay with me until the end of this video, because that last key, the one that reveals what really sustains the flow of abundance, only works after the other gears are turning. And today here, we are going to activate all of them. By the way, if you're here now, that's no coincidence. Synchronicity is the first sign that the field is responding. And the more you pay attention, the more he talks. Before we move on, take the opportunity to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This helps the content reach more people and also signals to the algorithm and the universe that you are ready for this change. It's a simple gesture, but it's part of the code. Show intent, show presence. And speaking of intention, if at some point in your life you have ever felt that you were on the verge of a big change, but you didn't know how to take the leap, I need to show you something special. There is a link in the first pinned comment that can make this turn faster, clearer, and more real than you think. Click there when you feel you're ready. You will understand why. Let's continue. The human mind has not been programmed for abundance. She was programmed for survival, and that changes everything. Because as long as you are trying to manifest an extraordinary life with a mind that only knows how to react to fear, control, and scarcity, you will be waging a silent war within yourself. One part of you wants to move forward, but the other holds on. And almost always, the one who holds wins. You can see this in small details. You say you want more money, but you feel guilty about imagining yourself rich. You say you want freedom, but you find yourself accepting crumbs so as not to disappoint anyone. You want to fly, but you carry within your chest the unconscious fear of falling. That's where the code comes in, because this code is not a magic phrase. It is an internal structure, an alignment between what you think, feel, and expect, even if you are not aware of it. Most people live out of alignment. They think one thing, feel another, and expect the worst. And the universe, obediently, responds precisely. Joe Dispenza showed us that when you hold on to the identity of the past, you recreate the same future every day. You wake up with the same thoughts, activate the same emotions, and reinforce the same chemistry in the body. This is the biology of repetition, a closed, automatic cycle. But when you break that pattern, even for seconds, something starts to happen. In this space between the old and the new, where the past does not yet control you and the future has not yet been shaped, there is a gap, a creative vacuum. And that's exactly where the field of infinite possibilities lives. To access it, you don't have to do more. It needs to be different. And here's the key. When you shift your emotional frequency, you shift your energetic signature. And that changes your reality. But no one taught you how to do it. They told you to think positive. Repeat mantras. Smile even if you don't feel like it. But that only piles up tension. Because inside, you keep resonating with the same pain. And the universe responds to that pain, not to the mask. So, how do you change the emotional frequency? You start by slowing down. It's not going abroad, it's going back inside. The racing mind is not manifest, she just repeats it. It is the state of presence, that moment where you are not thinking but feeling, that reprograms the field. And in that state, you need to create. Create the feeling of already having, not imagining, but feeling as if it already were. As if what you want is already happening now. The brain, when well-induced, does not distinguish the real from the imagined. And when he believes, the body follows. That's how you deceive the old identity. You create a new emotion, a new chemical signature, a new standard, and it stays there. Most fail at this point, because he wants to do it once and change everything. But the transformation is not an explosion. It is a repeated activation. It is training the body to feel what the mind wants, until it becomes natural, until you are what you want to attract. Have you ever noticed how certain patterns repeat themselves in your life? Relationships that end the same way, money that comes and goes, feelings of always running after something that never comes. That's your magnetic field talking. It is the echo of what you vibrate, not of what you say. And the pain you feel, the discomfort, it is not punishment. It's a sign. It is your body saying that it can no longer sustain an identity that does not match what your soul wants to live. It is the warning and the invitation. If you're listening to this right now, you may be at the exact breaking point. That moment where the old is no longer useful, but the new still scares. This space is sacred, because it is in it that the true leap is born. You don't need an external answer. It needs to activate something internal. Take a deep breath now, and realize, what do you feel when you think about an abundant life? Not what you want to think, but what it really feels. Fear, doubt, excitement, shame. This emotion is your starting point. Don't fight it. Note, because when you recognize the dominant emotion, you regain control. And when you take charge of what you feel, you start to build a new field around you. And the field responds, not in the way you expect, but the way you vibrate. Perhaps right now your body is reacting. Did you feel a shiver? A mild anxiety in the chest? That's the field changing, the code starting to rewrite the internal roots. And real change always starts like this, with a different presence in the body. You are not what happened to you. You are what you keep feeling about what happened. If you can accept that, you're already free. Now, an important thing. If this content is awakening something in you, a desire to go beyond theory and really change your field, there is something in store for you. The link that is in the first pinned comment is not just an add-on, it's an accelerator. It is for those who feel that the time has come, but do not know how to move the first step. Feel if it's for you, and if it is, click. It will make sense at the right time. Back to the code. The last part, the most powerful, is also the most subtle, because it does not depend on technique, but on posture, of decision. You need to decide not to be the person who carries that pain anymore. You need to decide that you deserve it, which it already is, that he no longer needs to prove himself. What blocks the flow of abundance is not a lack of effort. It is the insistence on carrying an identity that vibrates scarcity, a story that reinforces the struggle, a belief that says it's not for you. And this needs to die, not with pain, but with truth. The truth that you are the field itself, that you are the issuer, that you are the creator. You don't have to wait any longer. The code is already live. The question now is, are you going to sustain that frequency for 48 hours? If you can, get ready, because when the field responds, he responds in chain. By now, you may already be feeling something different, a new silence, an internal space, as if something had come out of you, or as if something was about to arrive. This happens when the field begins to give way, when the resistances that have held you back for so long finally begin to lose strength. But there is one last key, the most powerful. And as I said at the beginning, without it, everything you've heard so far runs the risk of becoming just another passing inspiration. That last key is not in the books. It is rarely said clearly because it does not sound magical. But it is. It is called vibrational consistency. It doesn't seem revealing at first glance, but it is. Because it is what separates those who only dream from those who really transform. See, most people connect with abundance for a moment. During a meditation, when listening to a song, when watching a video like this. And in those moments, anything seems possible. The body vibrates differently. Hope appears, and an almost unshakable certainty takes over for a few minutes. But then life comes in. The cell phone vibrates, the routine demands it, the memory of the past comes back, and the old me resettles down as if it had never left, and the magic unravels. That's why abundance for so many people seems like a dream that only happens to others. The final key to the code is this: you need to sustain the new state, not as someone trying to prove something, but as someone who already knows who he is. Like someone who decides not to go back to the old dark room, no matter how familiar it may seem. You need to keep the frequency even when the world doesn't give you a reason. This is the turning point. Because when you hold the vibration of what you want, without seeing external proof, you show the field that you already are. That he doesn't need to chase anymore, because he's already living it. And it is at this point that the universe responds with speed, because you stopped seeking as someone who wants, and he started to live as someone who already has it. This is where the real magic happens, not when you repeat mantras, but when you refuse to fall back into the old self, when you find yourself about to complain, but you are silent, when you feel fear but still choose to trust, when everything looks the same on the outside, but you behave as if everything has already changed. This is the blind spot of manifestation, the interval between planting and harvesting, the moment where many give up but the conscious persist. Joe Dispenza calls it acting as if. But it's not a pretense. It is incorporation. It is when you live the new before it arrives until it has to arrive. Because reality, in front of a mind and a body in vibrational coherence, has no choice but to bow down. And if you can do that for 2 days in a row, 48 hours of alignment, of active awareness, of sustained heightened emotion, you'll start noticing the signs, coincidences, messages, invitations, inexplicable sensations, small miracles. But be careful. Don't look at the result as if testing. Look as if confirming, because those who test doubt, and those who doubt deactivate the field. So the question now is, Can you sustain the vibration of who you already are for 2 days? Even if nothing changes on the outside yet, even if doubt whispers, even if fear tries to return, if so, get ready. Because that's where the flow begins. Not with fireworks, but with peace. A peace so unexpected that you almost find it strange. And then, the results. Small at first, then inevitable. You'll start attracting people who speak your new language, situations that connect with your new pattern, opportunities that seem to have been tailor-made. You'll look back and wonder how you didn't see it before, but you will see. You will feel it. Because once you experience the true flow of abundance, you never accept living outside of it. And perhaps everything that was missing, that was the code. A reminder of who you are before the stories. A call to return to being a source and no longer a copy. Creator and no longer survivor. And you heard that call. It's here now, feeling it. So, before we finish, take one last deep breath. And he answers internally, with sincerity. Are you willing to stop sabotaging yourself? Are you ready to release all that you already are? Because if the answer is yes, your field already knows, and the flow has already begun. If this made sense to you, if it touched any point that was hidden inside, take the opportunity now to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. This is how this message reaches more people who, like you, are also awakening. And remember, you are not alone in this process. Every time someone changes their vibration, the whole world changes with it. Now it's up to you. The code has been activated.